Hey everyone, I'm Kristen, the cross stitching runner, and welcome back to my Flosstube channel episode. Well, it's episode 23. Had to look that one up. Today is Sunday, the 6th of March, and wow, it has been a really full-on, busy 2 weeks, and I feel like I'm due for a holiday. Like, just to really kick back, relax, unwind, de-stress, focus on cross stitch and crafty stuff, just really go down that rabbit hole of craftiness. So before I really deep dive into all that fun kind of stuff and all the rest, I just want to say a big hello and welcome to anyone who has stumbled across this channel. This is where I talk about cross stitch and maybe a little bit of life stuff and all the tidbits and everything that go into my world of craftiness and cross stitch and all the rest. And hello and welcome to all returning subscribers and viewers, and hello to new subscribers as well and all. So hopefully you all enjoy what I have in store for you. And if you have by chance stumbled across this channel and you like what you see in this episode and you want to hear more from me in future episodes, yeah, definitely subscribe to the channel and hit the like button, and also there's that bell notification as well. If you click on that, you'll definitely be updated and notified by the powers of YouTube for the any updates and such that I'm able to post through to the channel. So I do have a window open just nearby. With the time of day, we may be hearing a little bit more traffic going past and such, so I hope it doesn't disturb you all too much. So yeah, it has been a big couple of weeks since we last caught up. I'm using a new camera with I guess it's got like a little ring light attached to it. So I'm testing this out, and hopefully it all goes smoothly. And so this is the camera thing. Hopefully the light seems to be picking up and reflecting a little bit. So this is a gift that I received from my boyfriend for my birthday. It was it's been over a week already. So last week on Friday it was my birthday. So the this particular little camera thing, it's the box says that it's a Razer Kiyo, Kiyo. It's meant to be like a really good quality camera for people who do gaming and streaming and recording what games they're playing and all of that stuff. So yeah, this should be brilliant for Flosstubes and all the rest. So the really great thing with this particular camera thing that I'm testing out at the moment is I've got it sitting on top of my one of my computer monitors, but it can also be attached to like a tripod, or it can sit on it as like a standalone kind of camera thing. So and can adjust the angles that it looks at and how it looks at things. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to testing it out a bit, playing around, especially now that I've finally been able to get the camera part to properly talk to the computer, especially the software that I'm using for recording Flosstubes and all the rest. So fingers crossed all goes well. I'm not quite a complete novice when it comes to techie things, but I know that I still have a lot to learn with technology, so I hope that I don't muck things up too much, because I'm not sure about anyone here watching, but I know that for me, if I've got things in a really sweet spot for technology and devices and software and all the rest, if it's working, like if it's tweaked just perfectly, I leave it as much as I can. I don't try to mess with it too much, because that's where my no, novice of understanding technology sometimes really kicks in. And I was like, damn it, what did I do? How can I fix it? So that's the story of my world of technology and fun. So that's a little bit of that fun stuff. So I guess, yeah, just a little bit of a really quick, brief life update. Then we'll jump into some cross stitching stuff. I've got about 3 projects that I've really worked on and focused on over the last couple of weeks, and then I guess we'll pop into talking about some plans and such that I've really been mulling over for a little while, and yeah, then we've got just a bit of an update thing to do with the hot cross stitching website. So I hope all of that sticks well for you all, and yeah, you're interested in hearing what's going on. Okay, so yeah, there's been a bit of fun stuff, so to speak, that's just happening within my world, so to speak. So just bits of health things that are happening to people I am very close to and love. So we're just waiting to see how a few things go and turn out with that. So I guess without being too cryptic, but not giving away too much personal information, my bestie, who I catch up with roughly once a week for cross stitch and that kind of thing. Her dad has had like an accident, home a home accident. He's in hospital at the moment. He's going to be okay. It just meant that he and concrete don't agree, and he's going to be in hospital for about 6 to 8 weeks, and he's had two major surgeries just to stop bleeding inside and to help repair certain areas of his body that connected with concrete. So yeah, fingers crossed all goes well, because I've known my best mate and her family for the best part of 20 years plus. So we've known each other since we were in high school. So yeah, it's yeah, a bit hard for my friend and her family, because she's very close to her parents. She regularly, like on a near daily, if not weekly basis, she's catching up with the family. She's one of these very active kind of people who prefers to be doing things, and knowing that she's helping people by doing stuff in whichever capacity she's comfortable with and able to do, rather than just sitting on her hands and or twiddling thumbs and just waiting for something to happen and then going into action if need be. So yeah, hopefully that all goes well. Then yeah, so with last week I was down at the coast with my boyfriend. It rained, but I like the rain, so that's no troubles at all. So we stayed fairly quiet for that weekend, but because it was wet and raining, also boyfriend wasn't feeling very great. We're getting things sorted out for that. We'll know more hopefully next week. So don't really know what's going on, so I can't really say much on that one. But yeah, hopefully it'll be good. He's moving around and he's doing okay. Thankfully no concrete has been involved. But yeah, we'll find out and know a bit more as time goes on. But it means that hopefully this time next week. That's right. This is gonna actually fit into plans for a little bit later in our catch up for this episode. There's a lot going to be happening next week on the weekend. So yeah, well, hopefully Friday next week we'll be able to do a proper celebration, because aside from it being my birthday last week on Friday, my boyfriend and I, we were celebrating our 11-year anniversary of being an awesome couple. So that I, I'm a bit funny about that, in the sense that yes, I recognise it's my birthday, I want to celebrate and that kind of thing, but then it's almost like I feel like I need to split the day in half, so to speak, where one half of it is like about me, uh, but the other half needs to be a bit about celebrating and recognizing our relationship, and celebrating the fact that we've lasted 11 years. So to me, that is something that's just really special, and that, yeah, we need to celebrate that. But we did get to have some pizza. We love pizza, and had a nice bottle of red wine. Had a couple of glasses of that, and then we did buy some salted caramel cheesecake. That actually was quite nice. It's one of those sort of frozen cheesecake things that you can buy just from the store, rather than it being like a custom made or homemade kind of dish. But yeah, worked out pretty good. It was quite nice. So yeah, it's just the fact that my boyfriend was feeling under the weather at the time. So yeah, when he's feeling 100%, we'll be able to yeah, really make it special. And I feel like I've got like a not eyeshadow, but eyelash just twitching just near the edge of my nose. So that's why I keep um, trying to brush it away, but I'm probably making it worse. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a life update. Um, so we'll get into doing a bit of stitching. So one of the pieces that I've been really focusing on is the Dewdrop Daisy. So this is a hot cross stitching pattern. It's available on the hot cross stitching website, and currently it's on sale, where it's 25% off all of the patterns you see on that website. So normally this retails for about $20, but at the moment, with 25% off, it's about 15, maybe a touch less, $15 for the chart. And it's a PDF chart that you'll be able to instantly download, and you'll also be able to import it then into Pattern Keeper if you use the app. I really absolutely strongly recommend that you use Pattern Keeper for this chart and any other charts that you see on the hot cross stitching website, especially the full coverage ones, because I'm not endorsed at all or sponsored by Pattern Keeper, but I use that not pattern, I use that app, Pattern Keeper, for all of my full coverage projects where I practically can. If you haven't used Pattern Keeper, I really strongly recommend that you look into it and download it onto an Android device, because it works with the Android devices. And what I love about Pattern Keeper is that it makes life so much easier for me to be able to keep track of my stitches, what I've stitched, where the threads are, and so what symbol correlates with what color. I don't have to then spend like 10 minutes almost sometimes going through the chart in terms of the list of threads to figure out, okay, now this symbol is with which color, then go, yeah, lots of time saving. So this is the project so far. Okay, I'll just move it over this way. So I have pretty well finished stitching the center of the flower, with the exception of maybe a couple of colors here and there, but it is pretty well done, the center of that flower. And then I've been focusing with the petal just up here, filling that in a bit more and working towards the center of the flower. So this particular project is my focus project for this year. So in the Facebook group, Full Coverage Fanatics, it is I'm doing the challenge group of 22,000 stitches for the year 2022. And it means that with this particular project, I won't get it fully completed because this project requires, I think, a bit over 60,000 stitches. But with getting 22,000 stitches done for this year, it will get me a lot closer to getting it done. Because at the start of this calendar year, I had a little bit over 18,000 stitches completed, and since the 1st of January this year, I've stitched, I think it's 4,200 and something or other stitches. So even though I've not worked on this every day, my calculations require me to complete about 64 stitches per day. Sometimes that doesn't happen. So the good thing is, with my lifestyle, I'm able to maybe spend a couple of hours here and there sometimes to get maybe 100 stitches in. For example, today I've done maybe nearly 300 stitches on it, so I can have a little bit of a reprieve and over the next few days work on a couple of other projects. Or if I'm just feeling so mentally tired from work, for example, and I just don't have the brain power, or my eyes are tired, whatever that scenario, I can then sit back, relax, and go, okay, I at least know that Dewdrop Daisy is going to be okay, that I'm still on track with her. So the next project I've been working on is this one. So this is Autumn in Stars Hollow, and I've just realised that I don't have the cover page project thing with it, but with this project I've been really focusing on, so I'm looking at the camera as well, so I've been focusing very much over this area here, and you can see that I've been getting a lot more of the red done, and yeah, getting many more of the features done. So I will need to get a bit of back stitch done for here. So where my finger is pointing at the moment, it's tapping a little bit. That's like cornstarch. Where in one episode of Gilmore Girls, I think it's very much in the first season, I can't remember the exact episode number, Rory goes into the general store to pick up, I think she was going to pick up some groceries, she was going to pick up something, but she happened to bump into Dean. And with Dean, he ended up, I guess that was when they had their first kiss. I think it was like aisle 8 or one of the aisles, and as part of her just freaking out, going, oh my god, I've just had my first kiss, and all the rest, I think she had a box of cornstarch in her hand, and as part of her just brain explosion kind of thing, she runs out the store with the box of cornstarch in her hand. She's hoofing it down, running down the street of Stars Hollow. She makes her way down to Kim's Antiques, where her best friend Lane is, and she's like, oh my god, I've just been kissed. Dean's kissed me in the corner store at Dosie's, and then she's like, I've just shoplifted. I've got cornstarch, and I don't know if she ever ended up paying for the cornstarch. I don't know if she even returned it or anything like that. But that was just one of the special things about the cornstarch being in this picture. So this is a project from the Black Needle Society, one of their stitching boxes. It's one of 4 boxes, this one being Autumn in Stars Hollow, and I'm really trying to work on this project a bit, and try and get as much of it completed as I practically can, by about mid to late June, because that's when the next stitching box is going to arrive, and this one is going to be Summer in Stars Hollow. So I've already put my order in and ticked all the necessary boxes and that kind of thing for what the team there need to know to help with organising and doing an amazing job with what they do for these stitching boxes. So I'm really looking forward to the next instalment for that. So I don't know how many stitches I've put into that particular project at all. I don't get along very well with numbers, so it will be quite rare for me to give you many stats on how many stitches I've done and when and where and all the rest. So please bear with me as part of me being all over the shop with numbers and updates on those sorts of things. So the last project that I've been focusing on for this fortnight is the Blue Mountains walking trail. So I'll insert a picture of what the cover picture is and where I was last up to. So this particular project is a hot cross stitching design, and this is where I am up to now. So this one's a full coverage project, and I'm stitching this, I think it's on 25 or 28 count of the easy grid or easy guide fabric, and it's gridded 20 by 20, and I'm enjoying stitching on this fabric, and I have mostly, actually I need to put it around this way. No, it's going upside down. One of the challenges that I have with, yes, actually I think I've got it around the right way. The reason why, two key things, two key stories with this. So challenge one that I have with this project is that it's dense, it's full coverage, it's compatible with Pattern Keeper, 25% off in the hot cross stitching website. So I've been focusing mostly on filling in, where am I? Here we are. So I've been focusing mostly on filling in this area where you can see my fingers twitching a little bit. I've been focusing in on just filling in this area here. So I've got about 200 and something rather stitches done, and hopefully with the comparison pictures you'll be able to see the difference that's been made. And I guess the challenge I have with this is, because I don't work on it so as much, it's the section I'm working on is very confetti heavy, and I have most of the colours in my stash but not all of them, so that's where it's made life a bit interesting, but I'm happy with how it's going, so I'm hoping to be able to work on it a little bit more over the next fortnight or so, and just make a bit more progress, because especially with many of the full coverage projects, that once you really start getting into the groove of them and putting a lot of time and effort into it, you really start to realize, just to start seeing it come alive. And then when we do these catch-ups like we're doing with Flosstube and that, seeing it through the camera compared with just looking at it, it gives it that different dimension or different view that you may not always get, and then it's like, wow, just seeing that difference, it can be absolutely amazing. So that's pretty much it for stitching of what I've been able to do over the last couple of weeks, and so I guess we're getting into plans. So I guess we're in March, and for many people there's this thing called March Madness, and I know that for me, over the last couple of years, I know that I blogged about it, or I wrote a blog post about it, what feels like a couple of years ago, potentially a little bit longer, where March Madness, there wasn't a true definition of what that was, or what it could be. In my headspace initially, it was like, okay, maybe this is just like a prelude to Mania in terms of the annual event that happens in May. I think it was initiated possibly about 6 years ago. There was a Facebook group to do with Mania, and the purpose of it was to, for example, in the year 2022, start 22 projects, or to in the first 22 days of the month, or something along those lines. And the great thing is that with Mania, it developed over the years, where people would do their own interpretations of what it meant to them, and how that could fit into their lifestyles and all the rest. And with March Madness, I know that the Steel City Stitches have, over the last couple of years or so, this might be the second, maybe third year that they've started doing it. They've started doing, I guess, this based on sports grid. This is where I'm going to sound really, really vague, because I think it was based perhaps on a particular structure that basketball may use, and I don't really follow basketball much at all and understand really how that structuring works, but with what I do understand of it, I imagine it may be quite similar to some of the other sports kind of leagues, where you may start off with say 16 teams, and you sort of narrow it down to the grand final. So in the stitching world, or cross stitch world, what that sort of means is, if you choose to participate, based on the model that the Steel City Stitches have put together, you may have say 12 key projects that you want to focus on, and so you have it in a special tier. I really am butchering this description, so it's probably best to go and check out the Steel City Stitches. Have a look through their episode list, and I'm sure they've got something there that will give a really good description of the poor description I'm giving you right now. So let's say I've got 12 projects, and for this week, for example, I may pick 2 projects that need to go up against each other, and I could post these on Instagram or a social media platform, and I would then ask all of you viewers to vote for which project I should work on. You would have maybe 24 hours or maybe 12 hours or so to vote for which project I should work on. The project that has the most votes is the one that I then work on for the rest of that week, for example. And there would be, say, other projects that would then face off against each other as well, and based on the votes that you as viewers would then vote on and such, it would then, by the end of March perhaps, or whatever the deadline might be, I might end up having a finish. The purpose with this particular tier structure, whatever the special wording is, it works a lot, works well for any smalls. So if there's like ornaments or cards or biscuit news, or those sorts of small projects that you know that you could probably get completed within a month, depending on the structure of the thing, it could get done. So yeah, I'm so sorry for butchering this description. I can picture it a little bit. I've not participated, so that's part of why I am struggling a bit to be able to properly describe things for you. But what it has got me thinking a bit, though, in terms of plans and stitching and projects and how all of that can work. Because on Wednesday, the 16th of March, in Australia, the Australian Football League, also known as AFL, is going to be starting. And so from the 16th of March through to a date I can't quite remember in September, it may be, I think it's like the first or second Sunday, Saturday in September, is when the grand final is. And so it's, I guess, a similar thing to basketball and the racketeering. Oh gosh, I really should have looked this up a bit more. Whatever the special structure is for how they manage which teams play who. I was thinking of doing something similar based upon the AFL structure. I've even forgotten the word for that one. I'll need to look that one up. So with all of that, the thought was that I could figure out what projects I already have, whatever whips I have active. I can then match maybe up those projects with the different teams that are part of AFL, and then depending on which team wins out of a particular game, I could use the final score to dictate how many stitches I do on that winning project. In AFL, a lot of the teams are based on certain colours and animals and that kind of thing. So my boyfriend and we follow the Sydney Swans, and so their team colours are red and white. So I could probably pick maybe 3 or 4 different projects associated with the Sydney Swans based upon their team colours. So I could spin a wheel or something and say, okay, work on a project that is red and white, or I could work on a sampler that is a red work project, or I could find a project that has a swan in it, or I could work on a project that is based upon Sydney, or generally speaking, something that's based in Australia, or based in the state of New South Wales, which is where Sydney is located. It's the capital city of New South Wales. It would, that sort of logic would get a little bit difficult for some of the other teams in the AFL setup, because AFL used to be, I guess, very much sort of based in Victoria. So it used, they still have the Victoria Football League, which is probably just a little bit lower than the main professional space. So I could still do many projects connected to many of the other teams within that space as well. Just don't focus too heavily on Melbourne, and I should be okay. But if I'm going to do that, I've really got to get my act together, and I've got about 3 days perhaps to get something set up in terms of assigning projects to teams and all that fun stuff. So another thought was, it's been ticking over in my mind a little bit, and I might have to leave it until next year, because this could end up being a year-long thing, of Monopoly Mayhem. So I have heard, I think, in maybe one of the stitching groups I've participated in, like one of the online virtual events, or it might have been a Flosstube one of the Flosstubers, I think randomly I had watched, and it was a while ago, and I have vague memories of this person talking about uh, playing Monopoly and having it impacting on what projects and such that she was working on. And I know that a while ago, maybe a year or two ago, I wrote a blog post on, pardon me, a blog post on what other board games and such we could use to influence or impact what we stitch, when we stitch it, and all of that kind of detail and fun stuff. I think it might have been last year when I participated in Whip Go, where it was a bingo board, 25 squares, and based on two random numbers generated each month would then dictate which projects to work on. So, considering how detailed and intense, I guess depending on how you play Monopoly, it could be intense, it could be a speedy Monopoly, because there are just so many varieties out there now of how you can play a Monopoly, what boards you use, and all the intricate details of the rules and that kind of thing. So I think in my blog post I did become quite detailed about how that could work, what happens and all the rest with it. So I think I might need to look into that again, even do some searches on Facebook groups that were connected to Monopoly and how that can influence my cross stitch and that. Whether or not I end up sticking to it, that is another thing, because life can get in the way, and it could also be a case of having the best of intentions, then feeling overwhelmed with certain things that will be happening in life, and then going, look, hey, okay, I've tried my best. It is now up to the powers that be. It is up to Sweewee, and yeah, go from there. So, Sweewee, it's an acronym of Stitch What You Want When You Want. I very much live by Sweewee. It has been, it has very much influenced majority of my stitching life, and I have tried to gently curb my Sweewee into doing the whip go and doing the 22 in 22, or the 22,000 in the year 2022. So it could end up being something completely different as well as time goes on. I have the best of intentions. I like the idea of the structure that these sorts of things can give, and then in my brain it goes, no, damn it, I want my independence. So it could be that it's a weird thing with the brain. For me, it's a case of, no, I want to do what I want. I want my independence. It is one of those weird things of how my brain is, and I want to. Sometimes I want to curb it. Other times it's like, nah. There is just too many other things in life at the moment telling me that I have to fit in a certain box, or I have to do certain things because of whatever consequences, and cross stitch is my outlet to not have to follow those rules. And I know that the great thing in our cross stitch community, and this is why I love our community so much, is that we don't have to follow those rules. I guess we can go by those guidelines, and I definitely appreciate with our Facebook groups we need to have certain guidelines just to keep the peace, to still keep it being a safe community for everyone involved. So those certain rules and such are definitely needed and need to be abided by. But in terms of everything else, it's open slather and I love it. That's what I love with our cross stitch. So that's where the other thought that crossed my mind, and this will probably kick in a little bit more for our spooky things when we go into when we get closer to September and October. So I love the supernatural. I have a fascination with it. I have a fascination with witchy kind of things, and I have a fascination with astrology and tarot and birth charts, and then that sort of leads into the fascination connected with personality things as well, like just understanding the brain, nature versus nurture, all of that kind of stuff that sort of forms how we are and who we become, and everything in between. So that's a long-winded way of thinking about the TV show Supernatural. I I am a fan, but I'm a poor fan in the sense that I still haven't gotten around to finishing all of the 15 seasons of Supernatural. So what I'm thinking, based on the the virtual events that I've participated in so far, with Autumn in Stars Hollow, and we had the Metagong Stitching Retreat that's been a virtual event for 2 years, where we've had different stitching challenges. So, what I love with the stitching challenges is that it's um, been a motivation to try and get something done, or as many stitches done in a particular time frame. And with many of the, like especially with Autumn in Stars Hollow, they would be connected to specific episodes in the Gilmore Girls series. So as part of my sort of motivation and such of wanting to try and finish watching the episodes and watching the remaining seasons with what I've gotten up to, and even rewatching some of the oldies and goodies of Supernatural. Putting together just a list just for my own benefit, all the episodes, and figuring out what key themes are from those sorts of episodes to then influence some of my stitching projects. So one episode that I can think of, I can't remember exactly which season it is, but it was one of those episodes, sorry, that was one of their funny episodes. They have a funny episode each season, and there is one quote where Sam says, "I lost my shoe." Um, if anyone here who has watched Supernatural and is a fan of the show, hopefully you will be having a bit of a chuckle and a laugh with that quote of "I lost my shoe," because you'll know what I mean with this. Because for people here who may not have watched Supernatural, may not be interested in watching Supernatural, but you may have watched Gilmore Girls or know of the show and the actors in it. The guy who plays Dean in Gilmore Girls plays the character Sam in Supernatural. Now this dude, his name is Jared Padalecki. He's like 6'5". He's very, very tall and reasonably slim build, but he's, yeah, body shapes change over time. The point though is that he's a really tall dude, and for him to then be like a 10-year-old child and say, "I lost my shoe," because the shoe had fallen down like a gap of like a drain water system or whatever. And just that sort of big, tall, goofy kind of looking dude feeling helpless, looking helpless, and just it's you'll need to watch the full episode to really see what I mean, and hopefully enjoy a bit of the humour that comes out of that episode. So that's sort of where my brain's going with. I know that the great thing is that kind of logic, that kind of structure of having certain goals to achieve, that helps. But what the key thing I need to try and figure out is what's the prize? What am I working towards? It's all good and well to say, yes, okay, try and get 150 stitches in throughout that episode, the length of that episode, for a particular project. But why? So aside from, because I could probably still get that amount of stitching in, but what's my goal? What prize do I get out of it? And it could just be a personal prize where That's something I need to figure out. And hopefully, it'll work out. I've got a few months to go. As I'm stitching, I can be thinking about it. And what I love is that I can apply it to other TV shows that I have enjoyed watching, I want to rewatch, and all the rest. So hopefully it all goes well. And if you've made it so far with this, drop me a comment below if there's some ideas that you've got in terms of what sort of incentives that could be used, and are there any incentives that you use for yourself to achieve a certain goal? For example, is it to purchase a new pattern, or is it to purchase some fancy flosses, or purchase some fabric, or start a new project, or whatever in between? I would love to hear about it. So drop me a line in the comments box below, because I would love to hear about it, because that could help me with my inspiration for what could be done around September, October. So yeah, drop me a line. I'd love to hear about it, please. So we're coming towards the end of this episode, and so with the hot cross stitching website, the one episodes. Um, the update that I want to give you here is there's 1 week left of the sale. So if you go to hot cross stitching, and it's all one word, .com.au, and I'll have the web address in the description box below. The sale is going to be ending on Monday the 20. It's 25% off, but the sale is ending on, I think it's Monday the 14th of March. So here in Australia, in Canberra at least, where I live, it's going to be a public holiday. So on midnight of March the 14th, that's when the sale ends. So if you've been hanging out, thinking about purchasing any of the patterns you see on the website, you have a week. So definitely jump onto the website, check things out. If you've got any questions about the patterns there, if you want to know anything more about the patterns, or if you experience any difficulties with purchasing the patterns, downloading them, anything in between, drop me a line. I'll have my contact details in the description box below as well, and I'll do everything that I can to try and help you out with all of that. So near the start of this episode, I talked about how next week was just going to be a really nuts week, not a weekend really. So if you're interested in hearing about that, stick around. If not, thank you so much for sticking around for as long as you have. Go and check out the hot cross stitching website. If you want to know more about more cross stitching and all the rest in terms of my Flosstube channel, make sure you subscribe, click on the like button, click on the bell, and you'll get all the notifications you need. So with next weekend, it's thankfully a long weekend, because I'm going to need the public holiday to recover. So thankfully with Saturday, I'm getting my hair done. It's getting a little bit long. It's going to get neatened up, hopefully some freshened colour in it. I don't quite know what colour it's going to be just yet. At the moment it does have some blonde, it's got some brown undertones, it's got some purple in it as well. Who knows, it might still have a bit of purple, it might end up having a bit of pink and red or something else in between. Who knows? We are coming into autumn, so I want to try and have some autumnal colours in it. So that'll be happening Saturday morning. Saturday afternoon, I'm hopefully going to be able to head up the road about 20 minutes away to catch up with a group of lovely stitching ladies and gents, if there are gents or people, whoever, are going to join us. I'm really looking forward to that, because I have only very recently come across this group. I think it was the Mittagong Stitches retreat, the virtual event of, towards the end of last year, where I heard about the group and it was like, ah, it was a group that I'd been looking for, and I hadn't realised that the group existed, and I'm so thankful that they do, because I think a similar group of ladies catch up over in Belconnen, and then later in the month they also catch up on the south side of Canberra as well, and having like a face-to-face kind of catch up of group of stitching people to me is a really exciting idea. And I know that I've heard other people talking about it, so with other stitching groups and such. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. Then Sunday morning, my mum and I, weather permitting, we are going to go horse riding. So last year for my birthday, my mum and dad gave me a voucher to go to the Forest Park horse riding school. They to do like a horse riding trail ride, and I thought no, it's two 1 hour sessions, and it was like no, I want my mum to come because her and I we horse riding. I'll get my words together, sentences proper as well. So I've grown up around horses. I haven't been horse riding for a few years, and my mum loves horses as well. She's grown up around horses, and we haven't had horses on the farm for a while, but it'll be something that I'm really looking forward to doing because I know my muscles the next day, if not later that day, are going to be sore because I'm gym fit, but not horse riding fit. And it's going to be such a good experience just to be around the horses again. Just, I know I'll probably be covered in horsehair, but that's half the fun. I grew up just riding around the paddocks and the farm. In some of my later teenage years, I was lucky enough to be able to participate in a pony club, and it. I have so many good memories connected to horse riding and the socializing that went with horse riding, and making friends and connections with the horse riding and all the rest. That's why I'm just so looking forward to next week on Sunday morning to do that horse riding, because it's been too long. I know that I will be nervous a bit about it, partly because it's that excited nervousness, but a little bit of nervousness going, okay, I don't know the horse. I haven't been riding for a few years, but I know that I'm going to be in safe hands. So I have no stresses with that. It's just my own nervousness, and I know that once I get into that horse riding thing, that muscle memory is going to kick in of how I ride, how the hands go, everything with that. So I'm just really looking forward to that. And then thankfully Monday, to the best of my knowledge, I don't have any plans, and I'll probably need to keep it that way, because if I get up to move, especially getting up from sitting down or even just going to sit down, the quads and the hamstrings, the hips, those muscles at least are going to be sore. So it'll be okay, it'll be all good. So I'm really looking forward to that. So that's just my update for next week, especially that weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. It is going to be a busy weekend, but it's going to be worth it. And I'm slowly getting back into running as well. I have, for the last 18 months or so, I've had some foot problems that has been just really tight muscles, and it has been at times at its worst really uncomfortable to walk, let alone run and do certain fitness things. So I've been slowly getting into them. I'm actually wearing some thongs at the moment that my boyfriend bought me as a second birthday present, and that might be a little like a separate sound that you might be hearing as because I'm standing up at the moment. Um, so these particular thongs, they are the brand name Crocs, and they've got just like a little bit of a heel at the bottom of the, and it's a bit more cushioned, and it actually has been helping my feet a little bit when they've been sore to actually sort of raise them just a little bit, and it makes me walk just a little bit differently in a positive way. So yeah, it's been really good getting back into that running, figuring out what works, figuring out what doesn't, because if I keep improving, doing exercises that my physio has given me, I want to participate in the 5K leg. I think it's the 5K Gold Coast Airport Fun Run. That's going to be happening around the 2nd and 3rd of July. I was going to participate last year, but border closures and viruses got in the way of that, and the event had to be cancelled, and we had to cancel air flights, we had to rearrange accommodation and that kind of thing. So I really do hope that it happens this year. If all goes well, I have the aim of participating in the Canberra Times fun run for 5Ks. It's going to be happening in April. So I've really got to get my ass moving, so to speak, and get my fitness levels up. So hopefully all goes well, but I know that I'm in good hands with physio and trainers and the gym, so it's going to be okay. So I'm gonna wrap things up now and say goodbye, and I hope you all have just a really good fortnight, and I'll catch up with you in about 2 weeks, and I'm really looking forward to giving you an update on how things go with the horse riding and stitching groups, and hopefully I do have a bit more cross stitch done to share with you all as well. So yeah, until next time, safe travels, and I'll catch you later.